Have you ever wondered if the smallest among us could outwit the biggest and the strongest? Imagine the whisper of tall grass on a quiet summer morning, the sunlight spilling gold across the forest floor, and a world where every creature, no matter how small, holds a secret strength waiting to be discovered. Tonight, we journey into one such story, the tale of the ant and the bear, a Native American folktale that proves might isn't always measured by size. Long ago, when animals and humans still spoke the same language, the great forests of the land stretched endless and wild. Towering pines stood like watchful guardians, rivers sang as they carved through valleys, and the earth itself seemed alive with footsteps, rustles, and echoes. Among the many creatures who called this vast land home was a bear. Not just any bear, but a bear so huge and powerful that all the other animals whispered about him. This bear was proud of his size. His shoulders were broad, his claws sharp enough to rip bark from trees, and his roar could roll through the hills like thunder. He often reminded the other creatures of his might, boasting about how no one could match him in strength or power, and for a time, they believed him. But in that same forest lived an ant, a tiny creature with a body so small that it could slip between blades of grass unseen. The ant was quiet, diligent, always working, always moving. Yet beneath that tiny frame was a spirit as fierce as fire. While the bear spent his days showing off his power, the ant believed that strength was not about size but about courage, cleverness, and determination. One day, the bear grew tired of simply boasting. Standing tall in a clearing, his fur catching the golden light of the sun, he announced to the forest, "Listen, all of you, I am the greatest creature in this land. None can stand against me. Not wolf, not eagle, not even mountain lion, and certainly not the likes of you, tiny things like rabbit or squirrel. I am unmatched." His voice rumbled so loudly that even the river seemed to hush. But then, from the edge of the clearing came the faint, steady voice of the ant. "You may be strong, bear," said the ant, "but do not think that size alone makes you the greatest." The animals gasped. Who would dare speak to the bear in such a way? The bear's dark eyes narrowed as he peered down at the ground until he spotted the tiny ant standing proud among the pebbles. He laughed, a sound so deep it shook the branches above. "You!" the bear roared. "You, a creature so small I could crush you with one paw, claim to challenge me?" The ant lifted its head. "Yes, for greatness is not measured by strength alone." Now the bear, prideful as he was, could not let this insult go unanswered. "Very well, little ant," he said, his voice like rolling thunder. "I will face you, and when I win, the forest will know that the bear is truly the mightiest." The animals gathered in a circle, curious to see what would happen. The air grew tense, buzzing with anticipation. The ground trembled slightly as the bear stomped, while the ant simply stood its ground, tiny yet unshaken. The challenge began. The bear swiped at the earth, his massive paw sending dirt flying, but the ant was too quick. It darted aside, slipping into the grass, appearing again near the bear's leg. The bear growled and tried again, swiping faster, harder, but the ant vanished between the bear's thick fur. Suddenly, the bear froze. A sharp sting pricked at his ear, then another at his neck. The ant had crawled into the thick fur and began to bite. The mighty bear roared in surprise, shaking his head, swatting at his own body. But the ant moved too quickly, striking again and again in places the bear could not reach. The forest echoed with the sound of the bear's frustration, stomps, growls, and roars that shook the ground. But the tiny ant, with its determination, was always one step ahead. The animals who watched could hardly believe their eyes. The bear, the giant who had always seemed untouchable, was now rolling on the ground, writhing, desperate to rid himself of one tiny challenger. Finally, exhausted and humbled, the bear dropped onto his side, panting heavily. "Enough," he growled. "Enough, little one. You have beaten me. I am the strongest in size, but you have shown that strength of spirit and cleverness can defeat even the greatest. The ant climbed down, standing proudly on a stone where all could see it. In a voice clear and steady, it said, "Remember this, all of you. It is not size that decides greatness, but heart. Even the smallest among us can rise against the mightiest if they have courage and determination." The animals cheered, their voices echoing through the trees. From that day forward, they no longer judged one another by size or power alone, but remembered the lesson of the ant and the bear. And even the mighty bear, though still strong and proud, never again mocked the small, for he had learned respect, the kind that comes only from being humbled. The forest settled back into its rhythm. The river sang once more, the trees whispered in the wind, and the creatures went about their lives with a new understanding, that each had a place, each had value, no matter how big or small. And so, the moral of the story is clear. True strength comes not from how large we are, but from our courage, our wit, and the determination to stand for what we believe. Like, comment, and subscribe for more magical folk tales. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Tell me, if you were the ant, would you have dared to challenge the bear? Or if you were the bear, would you have listened sooner to the wisdom of the small?